So today we are looking at 14.4, which is Canada Day 2. The reading that you have is it starts on page 3 with customs and it finishes on page 5. So let's go ahead and accomplish that. It starts on page 3 with customs. There we are. Finishes on page 5. Customs and courtesies. A firm handshake and hello, how are you are the most common greetings when one meets new people. Otherwise, a wave of the hand or nod of the head is an acceptable gesture when saying hello. French-speaking people might greet friends and relatives with a light kiss on the cheek. Common French greetings include bonjour and ça va, which mean good day and how's it going. Friends and young people prefer to say salut or hi. When one passes a stranger on the street, a smile and a nod are appropriate. People use first names when addressing others in informal situations. Or when the more senior person requests it. Titles are used with new acquaintances and on formal occasions. The French term for goodbye is au revoir. Gestures. Eye contact is important during conversation, and smiles are always welcome. Canadians allow a generous amount of personal space when conversing with others. French speakers tend to use hand gestures while talking somewhat more often than English speakers. Most gestures, positive and negative, are the same in Canada as they are in the United States. However, some gestures common in the United States might be offensive to a specific cultural group or in a particular area. Pointing at someone with the index finger is rude. Using the entire hand to motion to someone is more polite. The thumbs down gesture used in the United States to mean no is offensive in Quebec. Visiting. Although Canadians get together often, unannounced visits are not common except among the youth. Dropping by during regular mealtimes is impolite. During wintertime, visitors nearly always remove their shoes, hats, and coats at the door. Hosts generally offer guests refreshments, including at least a drink and often a snack. It is appropriate for a guest to bring gifts like wine, chocolate, or flowers to the hosts. House parties with alcoholic drinks and impromptu music are popular in both urban and rural areas. House guests staying for longer than a day usually write a note and give a gift to thank the hosts. Promptness and showing gratitude is important. Eating. The standard 3 meals a day are often complemented by tea, coffee, or snacks at work. Tea is popular among those of English heritage. Many people eat in the continental style, with the fork in the left hand and the knife in the right. Utensils are placed together on the plate after finishing a meal. One keeps both hands above the table during a meal. Elbows may be placed on the table after the meal is done. However, these formal manners are practiced less often as casual dining becomes more common. During the summer months, it is common for people to eat lunch outside. At restaurants, tipping a minimum of 15% is expected. Family. While the family unit is the center of society, both parents commonly work outside the home. Traditional norms are still valued, particularly in rural areas, but non-traditional households have increased considerably over the last 30 years. About 1/3 of marriages are expected to end in divorce. A high proportion of children are now born out of wedlock, and there are many single-parent families. The average family has 1 or 2 children. Children often live with their parents until they go to university, marry, or get a full-time job. Housing. Many of Canada's older homes, including Tudor-style houses and Victorian mansions, are found on the East Coast. As cities get more and more crowded, large-scale housing developments are cropping up outside the major urban centers. For many young people, commutes, sometimes long ones, are becoming the rule rather than the exception. Some aspects of Canadian housing are distinctive. In Quebec, for example, apartments often have their own outside staircases and balconies. Neighborhoods with several of these apartment buildings are called balconvilles, or balcony cities. In Vancouver, there is considerable architectural variety. Tudor, Victorian, Spanish, Italian, and contemporary homes coexist with the so-called Vancouver specials. Houses from the 1960s and 1970s that were built to the same specifications and made from wood and white stucco. Dating and marriage. Dating usually begins between the ages of 13 and 16. Most young people enjoy dancing, going to movies, dining out, going to the beach, attending sporting events such as hockey games. Casual sexual relationships are common. Fewer young people desire to marry, and if they do, they expect to marry at a later age, such as 30. Likewise, couples often wait longer to have children. Many people choose to live together before or instead of marrying. Weddings are usually celebrated with family and friends, but highly elaborate events are more common. Life cycle. Life among Canadians is not highly ritualized. Still, the usual milestones, birth, marriage, and death, are generally marked. Educational progress may also be the cause for celebration. When adults enter high school, they are regarded as young adults. At the age of 18, they are considered adults and can vote, serve in the army, and get married without their parents' permission. Funeral rituals vary according to religion. In some religious cultures, there is an official mourning period, which lasts a week or sometimes a month. Among secular Canadians, friends and relatives gather at a church or funeral home where the deceased lies in a coffin and pay their respects. Burial usually takes place the next day. Subsequent visits to the gravesite may take place on significant dates, such as the deceased's birthday, Christmas, and Mother's or Father's Day. Diet. In the Atlantic area, where fishing is common, seafood is a dietary staple. Dairy products are also consumed in fairly large quantities. Quebec regional cuisine plays a definite French influence and includes foods like pea soup, French pastries, breads, crepes, special cheeses, lamb, and veal. Potatoes and red meats are common with evening suppers. A favorite fast food is poutine, which consists of French fries covered with gravy and cheese curds. Maple syrup is produced in many parts of the country and is a favorite in desserts and breakfast dishes. In western cities, hundreds of immigrant communities have made the urban Canadian palate increasingly diverse. Here, one can find wild rice, smoked fish, beef, ethnic, especially Asian dishes, and a variety of other foods. People from indigenous tribes eat common North American foods, like hamburgers, as well as traditional items like mutak or whale skin, salmon, caribou, berries, and roots. Recreation. Canada has two national sports, ice hockey in the winter and lacrosse in the summer. Canadians also enjoy fishing, hunting, golf, soccer, cycling, baseball, and bowling. Popular spectator sports include college football and basketball. Curling is popular among the older generation. It involves two four-person teams sliding a large stone with a gooseneck handle over the ice toward a target. Other favorite activities include cookouts and beach parties, gardening, hiking, and spending weekends at summer cottages. People who also like to visit with friends, shop, watch TV, and read. Local festivals and fairs, parks and museums also offer recreational opportunities. The arts. Art galleries and museums are numerous, as are local art groups. After World War I, artists began to develop uniquely Canadian art by focusing on the nation's landscape. Immigrants who have moved to the big cities have diversified the arts. Popular crafts include pottery and quilting. The ocean greatly influences Atlantic Canadian songs, art, poetry, and prose, as well as folk festivals and other community events. Prince Edward Island is the birthplace of Lucy Maud Montgomery, the author of Anne of Green Gables, and a popular destination for those interested in seeing sights associated with her books. Montreal's annual jazz, comedy, and film festivals are popular attractions. The Canadian filmmaking industry is known for its innovation. Contemporary dance and traditional ballet companies enjoy wide audiences and critical acclaim. Native American tribes are reviving traditional arts, many of which began before European settlers arrived. These include clothing decorated with paint, beads, and porcupine quills. Jewelry, leatherwork, woodwork, and featherwork. Holidays. Official Canadian holidays include New Year's Day, Easter, Victoria Day, which celebrates the birthday of British Queen Victoria on the third Monday in May, Canada Day, the 1st of July, Labor Day, the first Monday in September, Thanksgiving Day, the second Monday in October, Remembrance Day, November 11th, Christmas, and Boxing Day, December 26th. Boxing Day comes from the old British tradition of presenting small, boxed gifts to servants. It is now a day to visit friends and relatives or to go shopping. In addition to public holidays, annual local festivals throughout the nation commemorate everything from military battles to cultural heritage. Most cities and towns also have a civic holiday, usually in August. Holidays unique to Quebec include the Carnaval de Québec, a 2-week period in February, filled with activities, although normal working hours prevail, and Quebec's national holiday, which is distinct from Canada Day, called Saint Jean-Baptiste Day, on June 24th. Also, French speakers spend Victoria Day, celebrating Dollard des Ormeaux, a provincial battle hero in Quebec. During the autumn maple syrup season, maple farms known as cabanes à sucre, or sugar cabins, serve as party centers and restaurants, serving food along with the latest maple harvest. Society, government. Canada is a confederation with a parliamentary democracy. Its government is patterned partly after the United Kingdom's, but also has a federal kingdom like the United States. The federal government is responsible for national defense, international relations, the banking system, criminal code, and the indigenous populations. The provinces are responsible for education, healthcare, and welfare. The greater resources of the federal government have led to its involvement in matters originally provincial, like employment, insurance, and Medicare. Each province has a unicameral legislature, which means one house. Ceremonial duties of the head of state are performed by the Governor General, currently David Johnston, who represents Queen Elizabeth II. Canada's federal parliament is made up of a Senate composed of as many as 105 senators, appointed by the Governor General upon the Prime Minister's recommendation. The Senate rarely exercises its full powers, whereas the elected 308-member House of Commons is the real legislative power. The Prime Minister, currently Stephen Harper, heads the government and is the de facto chief executive. The leader of the party that gains the most seats in the House of Commons becomes the Prime Minister. Parliamentary elections are held every 5 years. The voting age is 18. Canada's major political parties include the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, the Bloc Québécois, and the New Democratic Party. Economy. Canada has one of the strongest economies in the world, but it did not escape the effects of the 2008 global economic crisis, which led to widespread instability. It is a leader in the production of gold, silver, copper, uranium, nickel, lead, oil, natural gas, wood pulp, and timber-related products. In 1993, Canada signed the North America Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, with Mexico and the United States. NAFTA provides for freer movement of capital and goods, more cross-national investment, and a large market for many goods from each NAFTA country. Canada's currency is the Canadian dollar. Canadians refer to the $1 coin as the loonie, after the image of the water bird, the loon, minted on the coin. Likewise, the $2 coin is called the toonie. Although most Canadians benefit from the country's general economic prosperity, more than 14% of the population lives in poverty. In addition, the Canadian dollar is usually somewhat weaker than the United States dollar. The Canadian dollar can be affected by variations in the US dollar's value. Transportation and communications. In the Atlantic provinces, ferries are a common way to travel between islands. In sparsely populated areas, private cars are important. In most large cities, public transportation is well developed and includes subways and buses. Domestic flights and trains are common in all parts of the country. Communication systems are highly developed. The vast majority of Canadians have telephones and televisions. Numerous cabled television systems provide service to all segments of the population. Television is often dominated by United States-made programs, but the federal government actively supports the development of Canadian film and television. Education. Each province is responsible for its educational system. Education is compulsory and free until the age of 16 in most provinces, beginning at the age of 5 or 6. Each province also administers its own colleges and universities. Many students instead choose to complete a 2-year technical training program and enter the workforce. Around 50% of the students seek education beyond high school. I'll skip ahead to health. Canadians enjoy good health. Lung and heart disease can affect many Canadians. Canada also has a universal compulsory health insurance, which is funded by the taxes in Canada, which are high. This insurance covers doctors' fees and hospital costs. While patients must sometimes wait months for surgery and certain procedures, all citizens have basic health care. That concludes the reading for today. I did summarize a little bit at the end to help us out, but after that, please watch the required videos on today's lesson and you'll be finished with your work for today. As always, if you've got questions, shoot me an email anytime.